This is Jordan, the stand-up lawyer. Please make sure your seat and tray table are in the upright position as we nosedive into the latest news from this, the dumbest timeline. We recently learned that the Trump administration is preparing to accept a $400 million Boeing 747 as a gift from the royal family of Qatar to serve as the new Air Force One. Yes, Qatar. You may remember this repressive Gulf petro state from such human rights abuses as World Cup slave labor, and if you were Hamas, you'd be home by now. Well, courtesy of Qatar's freedom-loving royals, this golden-showered luxury jet dubbed the Palace in the Sky comes fully equipped with a master and guest bedroom, 2 full bathrooms, 5 small kitchens, couches, recliners, and over 40 televisions, including 10 big-screen TVs. Now, as of the date of this recording, Qatar says the details are still being finalized and no decisions have been made. But if the deal does happen, Qatar would give the plane to the Department of Defense, which would then be given to a future Trump presidential library, which Trump totally promises he won't take for personal use. In the face of mounting criticism, Trump claims there's absolutely nothing wrong with this administration accepting a $400 million plane from Qatar. Quote, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane. I thought it was a great gesture. That's right, a great gesture from a longtime ally you'd have to be stupid to say no to. Now, this is quite a change of tune from Trump. After all, it was only 8 years ago that Trump derided Qatar as a funder of terrorism and radical ideology. But now, in a complete and total coincidence, the government gets a free $400 million jet just 2 weeks after Qatar agreed to let the Trump Organization build a $5.5 billion Trump-branded golf club and luxury resort outside of Qatar's capital. Totally normal thing to happen in a totally normal country with a totally normal president. When pressed on the ethical concerns of accepting the gift, Trump told an ABC reporter, quote, "You should be embarrassed asking that question." Quote, "They're giving us a free jet. I could say, no, don't give us. I want to pay you $1 billion or $400 million or whatever it is. Or I could say, thank you very much." Now, some naysayers think it might be illegal for a foreign country to give the US government a $400 million plane that the president can keep when he's done running the country into the ground. One such naysayer is the United States Constitution, Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8, which reads, "No title of nobility shall be granted by the United States, and no person holding any office of profit or trust under them shall, without the consent of the Congress, accept any present, emolument, office, or title of any kind whatever from any king, prince, or foreign states." The emolument clause, with emolument being a $4 word meaning payment for services, expressly prohibits presidents and other office holders from accepting foreign gifts without congressional approval. So unless Congress votes to approve, the plain text of the Constitution says this is illegal. But then again, we've come to see that things that seem like clear violations of law are more like mild suggestions to be ignored when it comes to one Donald J. Trump. After all, this is not the first time Trump has been accused of violating this constitutional prohibition. In Trump's first term, he faced emoluments lawsuits from Maryland and the District of Columbia, who accused him of illegally accepting payments from foreign and domestic officials patronizing his Washington hotel and other businesses. But in 2021, the U.S. Supreme Court dismissed those cases, claiming they were moot because Trump was no longer president. Wow, 2021 really was the year where everyone assumed Trump would just go away forever if we just stopped thinking about him. Something that in retrospect was wildly optimistic. Now, you don't have to imagine how Republicans would treat this story if the shoe were on the Democratic foot. Back in 2009, when Barack Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, a group of House Republicans wrote the new president saying that accepting this award and $1.4 million in cash without the consent of Congress would violate the emolument clause, and urged him to get congressional approval first. Now, in the end, Obama accepted the award and donated the cash prize to charity, and the controversy faded away. Now, personally, I'm less bothered by the constitutional issue of Obama's Nobel Peace Prize compared to the fact that he basically got the award for not being George W. Bush, which I don't think really is fair, because every single day, hundreds of millions of unsung American heroes get up, go to work, support their families, give back to their communities, and they do all of this, without being George W. Bush. Where's our Nobel Peace Prize, man? It's not right. It's not fair. Calm down, Jordan. Calm down. You're only 40. There's still time to win the Nobel Peace Prize. But for anyone who's still confused about the legality of gifting the government a near $500 million jet, don't worry. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who used to be a registered lobbyist for Qatar, because the writers of the American computer simulation we're living in are just that lazy, signed off on a Justice Department memo saying the plane deal is totally legal. Now, I would love to explain to you what that memo says, but the DOJ has decided to keep it secret. What a crazy coincidence. The DOJ sees no problem with a foreign country giving the Department of Defense a $400 million plane, which they will then give to Trump's future presidential library free of charge after he leaves office. So basically, it's a delayed $400 million gift to Trump, a guy who has long claimed he's too rich to be bought. That makes total sense, because we all know from personal experience, when people get billions of dollars, they tend to be satisfied with their wealth. No, thank you, they say. That's more than enough money for one person. Well, time for me to go be a normal, well-adjusted human and do normal, well-adjusted human things. But it wouldn't truly be a Trump scandal without Republicans making bad faith comparisons to Democrats to excuse something they know is wrong. Conservative constitutional scholars like Ann Coulter and American Papa Bear have suggested that Trump being gifted a $400 million jet is exactly like Grover Cleveland accepting the Statue of Liberty from France. Of course, because nothing screams, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free," like a $400 million flying palace. Now, it may surprise you to learn that Ann Coulter and others got their facts wrong. I know, shocker, but hear me out. As noted by X's community notes, Grover Cleveland did in fact request permission from Congress to allow the country to receive this gift, and Congress did vote to approve this gift, as the Constitution requires. It's also important to note that the Statue of Liberty was a gift for the country. Grover Cleveland didn't get to take Lady Liberty home with him after the presidency. Now, notwithstanding the usual suspects running cover for everything Trump does, the Qatari jet scandal has created some rare ripples of dissent in MAGA land, like Daily Wire's Ben Shapiro, pictured here just after the Blue Fairy helped turn him into a real boy, says the optics of this, quote, skeevy stuff like Qatari jets and meme coin schemes are terrible and could hobble the Trump presidency. Quote, taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest, that's not America first. Even Senator Ted Cruz, who is such a Trump toady he couldn't even bring himself to defend his wife after Trump called her ugly, raised concerns about the deal, telling CNBC, quote, the plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems. And in this instance, Ted Cruz is correct. Ugh, that did not feel right to say out loud. Ugh. But it's true. Retrofitting the Qatari plane for presidential use would be a logistical nightmare. According to security experts, a private contractor would have to rip the plane apart, piece by piece, to ensure it's safe to fly and doesn't contain any hidden surveillance devices. After that, the plane would have to be rebuilt with secure communications and other classified technology installed, which of course would have to be removed once it's returned to Trump. And while this plane is free to the Trump administration and eventually Trump himself, this complicated undertaking would require years to complete and likely cost taxpayers tens or even hundreds of millions of dollars. So in summary, this free airplane from the Qatari royal family is legal in the sense that it's not legal, but Republicans don't care about corruption when it's a Republican. And this free plane is free in the sense that it's free to Trump, free to the government, but will cost taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars to make it usable, which Trump then gets to take home when he's done presidenting. Americans voted in 2024 to make the cost of living cheaper. Instead, we're all chipping in to help support Trump's $400 million flying palace. What a time to be alive. This has been Jordan, the stand-up lawyer, saying, I know, this is all so stupid.